Hi there. You're listening to another episode of Innovative Tac-Tips. I'm the host, Christine, and I'm with Marcia Dempster. And I get the privilege to talk and pick her brain with her, talk with her, pick her brain about how did she become the leader she is today. And I'm excited for listeners to gain invaluable insights of what they can leverage from her experience and apply it to their own lives and their careers. So thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. And I love that you're from the Midwest too, because I I'm technically from Oregon because I was born there, but I grew up in Minnesota like all of my life. Childhood is like from the Midwest, and I sometimes will say "oh," and I'll be like, "Stop, no, stop that, quit it." So, but before we go down that rabbit hole of like Midwestern like sayings and stuff, what do you do? Like, who is Marcia Dempster?
Well, thank you for having me, Christine.
Yeah.
And yes, Midwest is best always. And I think we could go down the rabbit hole of all the different Midwest isms. I'm from Michigan, so I totally understand. Yeah, I'm Marcia Dempster. Thanks for having me. I am the Global Vice President of Channel Sales and MSP Sales at Keeper Security. I live in Chicago. I've been here for about 20 years now. Wow, that's a long
Wow.
time. Yeah.
Yeah. I lived
Still in the Midwest, still holding it down.
yeah, I lived for yeah, thank you. Thank you. While I'm in Utah, right? No, I lived in Chicago for I would like to say like a year. So like a brief moment, not 20 not like not you have like street cred, right? If you think about like holding the Midwest down. I lived off of State and Elm Street in the Gold
Oh
Coast.
yeah, love it over
Yeah.
there in Gold
Yeah.
Coast.
Yeah, I lived there. I loved it. I was yeah. I, I walked everywhere. I worked in Michigan Avenue. That was when I went to art school. Anyways, I loved it.
Oh,
So, I always like to visit Chicago from especially like during St. Patty's,
oh yeah,
day, the
you
holiday
have to.
celebrating all that stuff.
You have to.
Yeah. So I guess 20 years, right? That's like a good chunk of time dedicated
Yeah.
to tech and maybe security. I guess, what about, like, to me, I'm like, that's a really long marriage, right? I mean, I know marriages go like 50 plus years. I don't want to do the math because I'm not quite sure, like, everyone's different. But what makes your heart sing about, I guess, the industry that you work in? Tech. Yes.
I you know what? I'm a channel. Being in tech sales is one thing, but being in partner sales, like selling technology through a trusted network of partners, whether it's, VARs, value added resellers, or your MSPs, managed service providers, like that to me is like where the magic happens. Like I'm definitely a relationship person. Like all of my best professional relationships usually turn into friendships. So I don't know. What really I guess makes my heart sing about cyber and tech in general is just being able to work with amazing people. Like I work with so many great people.
Yeah, I always think like you're kind of like a superhero too some days, right? Because they're like sometimes tech feels like so convoluted, and you're like, okay, there's got to be a solution to this like problem, or opportunity, great
Yeah,
opportunity, right? And so some days you feel like a superhero, and sometimes you're like, all right, that seemed like a huge math equation that just like wasn't clicking. And to your point, like partnerships are huge, relationships are huge. It's like you can't do things by
totally.
yourself, especially I think portfolio wise, right? For companies, is I think like a lot of the times it's great to partner with strategic partners because like you do make a solution way better than what it was on its own on like let's say one portfolio has like only certain functionality. Well, if you embed another person's technology, it's like, wow, that made things way
Absolutely.
better. So it's always awesome.
Yeah,
And then especially like selling through, right? So making sure that your partners are set up for success for their customers, because at the end of the day, it's like your partners want their customers' best interest. And so it's just like a domino effect
totally.
on that
Yes,
kind
that's
of thing.
exactly
So
what it is.
yeah. In a good way, domino effect. I feel like sometimes people are like a domino effect.
Yeah,
They're like,
no,
wow,
in a good way.
scary.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. No, when I first talked to you, I was like, oh, she's from the Midwest. She reminds me of home. It was like, oh, anyway. So it's nice. Like, I know that people, like everyone across the nation, there's great people. I just like when you go to the Midwest, it feels I don't know, it just feels different, and it's like a good kind of different. And I don't know about people from Iowa though. No, I'm just kidding. Like, I always like to give like the other states around, like
I was gonna
Michigan
say,
and
I don't know about people
Illinois.
from Ohio,
Yeah,
so
oh, I know. I thought I was thinking about that too. I was like, "Ooh, should I poke fun at my friends that went to Ohio
yes.
State?" I should, but then my dad went to Ohio University and Ohio State, so like, I
Oh,
don't know if I would be like using those to be fighting words. So, anyways,
yeah,
or like,
you don't wanna make him mad.
yeah, let's take a
No.
step back from that. So, okay, another question for you is, I guess throughout your, I mean, in life, right? What's been a best or most worthwhile investment that you've ever made? It could be money, it could be time, it could be energy. Has there ever been like a worthwhile investment that you remember that
Yeah,
people
I
don't
think,
really talk about?
for me, the best investment I made was probably in myself. I would say, like a big thing for me is travel. So I invest a lot of time and money and, you know, PTO traveling. Like I
Yeah,
think it's something that it's not a thing that you can hold on to. It's not like shoes or a jacket. It's
yeah,
an experience, and
yeah.
it's meeting new people and experiencing different cultures and different foods. And so all of, I've been to Asia, I've been all over Europe. I mean, obviously I've been to Canada because I'm from Michigan. Uh,
Hmm.
but
Like
like,
it's like next door neighbor, right? Like it's
yeah,
like, hey,
exactly. Like we
yeah,
kind of just go there a lot, so that one's not
yeah,
that weird. But
yeah.
Australia, New Zealand, Japan, like all of these amazing places, and a lot of them have been through work.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes it's an investment of my time
Mm-hmm.
um, professionally, and other times it's not. Like other times it's an investment of my own money and my own time just to see something different and get out of my regular routine, I guess. So
Yeah,
I would say
yeah.
travel is probably my best investment.
Well, you did write a book.
Yeah.
So I would like to expound on that later on after ask a couple more questions because I think they help complement the book that you wrote.
Yeah.
So I believe failure is it's giving up, right? Throwing in the towel. And I believe that there's always something good that comes out of something that's a little bit painful. So how has failure or parent failure set you later up for success?
Well, yeah, I agree with you. I think sometimes failure isn't the worst thing. Like figuring out that a job isn't for you, or a relationship isn't for you, or a friendship isn't for you, isn't a
Mm-hmm.
failure. That's an experience that you learned from. And, especially in the professional world, like once, if you're in a job and you're overwhelmed and you're like, I can't do this, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know who my people are. I mean, my best advice would be, first of all, take a deep breath and don't let the imposter syndrome overtake you. And don't always assume failure. And also, I'm talking to myself at this moment too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
don't catastrophize everything. Like, not everything is, the sky is not falling, not everything is falling apart. So, failure is a choice. Like what are you gonna turn that into? Like, okay, that job didn't work out, but what did you learn from it, and what are you gonna take to the next thing? And I
Yeah.
think that happens to all of us. I It's happened to you, it's happened to me. Like, we're living it every day, but like those failures or mistakes or missteps are always just an opportunity to learn and to grow and to take it into your next job or your next relationship or whatever the case may be. Or if you're a parent, like my sister's a parent, and she always is like, oh my god, I'm failing as a mom. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
you're not. Like, you're figuring it out as you go. And
Oh
I'm not a
yeah.
parent, so I have a ton of respect for that. Is the hardest job in the world. But like, the way that maybe women in particular look at, if you're not doing well, that you're a failure, or like I'm a fraud, or that whole thing. And it's like, that's not true. You're not. You're doing the best you can, and you're learning along the way. And lean on your support system, lean on your friends, lean on your peers, like that's all you can do.
Totally. I think, what is it? The red car theory is like whenever you look for something, you see it. And so if you always think that the shoe's going to drop, then obviously it's going to drop, right? Like, and also like life isn't this like dramatic, like horror film or this like, it's not like there, it's ebbs and flows. And it just, I think, I think I said that phrase right. At first, I was
Yes.
like, "Is that the right phrase?" Sometimes I say a
Yes.
phrase and I'm like, "Was that right? Was that the right idiom for that?"
You
Anyways,
nailed it. It ebbs and flows.
so I'm like, I think some people, again, in my earlier days of my career, I would get a little like, a little dramatic in a sense. And I think dramatic, there's good and bad to that because there's passion behind it, right? If
Of
you lose all
course.
passion, then it's like, what are you doing with your life? And I believe you should do something that you're always adept at, and then you won't feel like you ever have to work or like, you have a better outlook on things. And to your point, it's like leverage your resources, right? Like I think people sometimes think that they're alone on things. And it's like, I'm pretty sure if you went through it, there's probably another person who went through it. I mean, how many years have people been on this planet? I'm pretty sure back in like the Roman days, I bet people feel the same. But you can't really talk to them now because obviously, like,
100%.
like,
100%.
yeah,
Nailed
I
it.
mean, yeah. And then with that, it's like, is there been a memorable moment of your, I guess maybe a career? Because I think 20 years in general in the workforce is something to like, it's a big accomplishment, right? It's like sometimes people, I think my mom, like she was in it for like 10 years and got out of it. And I don't know if she ever went back, but anyways, it's like some people choose a different route, right? Some people choose a different journey in their life. And I think
Yeah.
20 years, there's a lot of things that have happened, and people who are just getting into tech or people who are just getting into maybe like out of tech or
Yeah.
they're trying, anyways, wherever stage they are in their like workforce journey, I feel like a lot of memorable moments can really add value to other people that, may have not experienced what you've experienced throughout their tenure of your career so far.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, when you hear 20 years and I've been in the same field, I've been in technology my whole career, but like, did I think that that was going to be my career? No. Like I really didn't. I went to Michigan State. My degree was in like business communications. I kind of, like left it as broad as possible. I minored in psychology though, and I'll tell you what, that comes in handy every single day. So anyone who's listening that's either majoring or minoring in psychology, don't stop. Like no matter what you do, you're going to need those skills that you're learning. But like
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is funny, like sometimes you end up in a career that you didn't expect and it ends up being amazing. Like I can't imagine not being in tech. I can't imagine not being in sales leadership in a channel ecosystem. Like it's become such a part of who I am and I love it, and I love, bringing more women to the table. Like I know that there's a big gap in tech of like it's a male dominated industry, and it is, but I
Mm-hmm.
also don't think that's anything to be afraid of. Like some of my
Mm-hmm.
best allies and mentors are some of the men that I've worked with.
Yeah, again, I do think it's good. Like, I think all walks of life, right, to be in tech. Like, anyone who has some type of interest of like feeling like a superhero, because I feel like we do feel like a superhero some days. Or like, there's things that like networks go down. I just software, hardware, regardless. Like, you have to get it like working, and even like relationships too, right? Communication, because
Yes.
it's constant and it never stops. And I think to your point, like some of my really close allies are men, and
Yeah.
they're like 15, 20 years senior of me, and I like, and they're either CEO of $1 billion, like they're, and then some are just like project managers, like they're all walks of
Yeah.
life, different titles, and they've got some really good wisdom to give,
Absolutely.
and they're super supportive. So I think with that, it's like, and I do with, to bring up your book for the next, like another question I have for you is like, I think a lot of people, what they do is they like will experience something and then not document it or not tell someone about it, right? I think it's good to leverage your resources too, and then also document things, right? Journaling or
Yes.
writing a book. I think for me, like I have started blogging, which I need to do more of, but I launched a podcast because I think at the end of the day, like the more that you can reinforce and put out like experiences and there's commonalities, I think people can relate to that. And I think that creates some type of like confidence
Yeah.
and just courage to do what makes you happy, right?
Yeah.
Whatever career you want to take. And I think my next question is, what book has most influenced you the most? And then if there's books too, like plural, and then what book have you given most out as a gift? And then I guess if you want to talk about your book as well, just because I think maybe some of those books that didn't influence it might have went into the book. I don't know. Just want to,
Yeah. I mean, I love reading. I use it more as a like a distraction. Like
Yeah.
I love historical fiction. Like that's probably my go-to genre. I'm a big Audible person, so like if I'm in the car or if I'm on a flight, like I'm probably listening to a book if I'm not listening to a podcast. Um like yours. uh,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, I don't know. So like I'm a big historical fiction girly. My own book kind of started, and I would say the gift that I give out the most is my own book just because I'm like,
Yeah.
here, read my book.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, no, like I would definitely do that because if you read a book, like you want to tell the story. I have a colleague
Yeah.
who he's a CEO. He consults CEOs and he's been a CEO and he wrote Rookie CEO. And I think everyone should read that book, whether you're aspiring CEO, like
Yeah.
I think anyone should read it because it tells you a little bit about how they think. And it's a good snapshot
Totally.
of
A
paying
leader,
attention to,
a
yeah.
former leader that I had, actually, you just made me think of it. He gave me a book called The First 90 Days when I left one of my roles and I was starting at a new one and I was freaked out. And it's a really good, it's an easy, like, quick hit read, but it really talks you through, like, what you should be focusing on in those first 90 days. And a lot of it is just like listen and learn,
Mm-hmm.
and don't try to like come in hot and tell everybody what to do. And so that was super influential, and it did play a part in my book. um I started writing it, God, a few years ago. And then I think it was during the pandemic that I really like went for it and like had the time to sit down and really do it. But it started just as me, like you mentioned earlier, journaling. Like it started as me journaling. So my book is called 33 Ways Not to Screw Up Being a Woman in Tech. And it's a collection of essays really. So there's 33 different chapters, and it's
Yeah.
all different just tips and tricks, like how to build up your network, how to negotiate, how to know when you're ready for the next thing. And maybe you don't feel ready, but like you got to look at yourself on paper and say, I am ready. Like if I was interviewing this person, I would probably hire them. Like that can be an interesting thing if you write down your own accomplishments and look at them and then you say, "Oh dang, like I've done more than I thought," or like I did that really well, or then you notice something that's missing, like okay, I need more technical certifications, or I need to do another class about economics, or just a lot of things that we would run into like in the sales world. But you can never really stop learning that stuff, and that's why my book has 33 different chapters, because I was like, I could keep going. I don't know. There's a lot, and just there's personal stories, and some of them are funny, and some of them are really sad, and like just struggles that I've had with different types of leaders, or struggles with being the only woman on a team or the only woman in the room. And a big part of it is I really believe in making space for other women. Like I want there to be a ton of women in the room where it happens. Like I want women to have their seat at the table. And if you don't have a seat, BYO chair. Like bring your own chair and make
Mm-hmm.
space for somebody else. Like we should
Yeah.
always be making space for other women at that table.
Totally. I think, well, first, so Michelle Padich, I didn't slaughter her last name because sometimes I say I would be a horrible substitute teacher. She is, I think she's global VP of channel at 8 by 8. I
Oh
believe,
yes, yeah.
yeah. So she, that was one of the books, First 90 Days is,
Nice.
so like you and she have that's commonality. I've yet to read it yet. I should probably read it. That's probably
It's a good one. It's easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Smooth read. I'm cool with that. Like Audible stuff. Like I the No Limit Person. How to live and be a. I listen to that on Audible. It's really short. It's a good listen to. So if anyone wants to live a no limit life, definitely
love
suggest that. But I will put your Amazon link to your book in.
Oh, thanks.
So just people can take a look at it if they want, because you have it on Audible too, right?
I have it on Audible too. So if you want to hear more of my weird Midwest voice for a few hours, then by all means.
Are you the voiceover?
I narrated it.
That's so awesome. Not sorry, but I cannot stand the monotone voiceovers on Audible. Sometimes I'm like, can you, or like just when I'm buying books sometimes on like, I think it's, no offense, Apple, but like the books, sometimes when they do audio, it's like this just really boring. I'm like, man, I'd rather hear my own voice in my head right now than
it is super weird though. It's so weird. Like when you listen, like when you hear, like back in the day, you would hear your own voice like on the answering machine or whatever. Like you're like, oh my God, is that what I sound like? So it is very weird, but yes, it is on Audible if anyone wants to listen while driving or something.
Yeah, no, I think if you can listen to a podcast or just like hear, again, I think travel opens up your eyes to what you don't know, like basically the differences and the commonalities, right, of people, right? I went to Ireland and you like learn a lot about other people. We did like my sister and I rented a car, we did the whole country and stuff, and it was just really nice. We stayed at Airbnbs. We stayed at this like little boat Airbnb that was on land. It's kind of funny. I was like, whoa, like don't rock a boat here. But yeah, it was a town of like 100. And we actually saw, there was a tribute to 9/11 for the firefighters in one of the towns that we went to. It was like super.
That's really
emotional.
Cool.
It was emotional, but it was like basically for all the fallen firefighters, and they had a tree up for all of the people that lost their lives for 9/11. So that was really cool too.
Really
so you get to learn like there's other countries that are like empathetic, right? During those hard times. So you get to learn a lot about that, and then even like different languages too. So did you say you visited India? Is that what you said?
Or did you? No, I've been to Italy. I've been to Vietnam. I've been to Thailand.
different languages. Way different.
Different languages. And the food.
Yeah, no, I think people should do that. So, a few more questions left. I always like to ask this question because I think with women in tech, and just like in general, I think women have a lot of wisdom, and men do too. But I think it's an opportunity for us to like really, give our 2 cents or wisdom. If you had to give yourself advice to yourself starting your career, what would you give yourself? Like now,
at the beginning of my career.
What advice? Could be one word. Could be like a paragraph. It could be like high five. I don't know. It could be anything.
I think the first thing I would say is you can do this. Like you are going to do this. Like if I was talking to me now, I'm 42 now. If I'm looking at my 22-year-old self when I started at a very big tech company here in Chicago, I would say you're going to be so freaked out. You're going to feel like you don't know what you're doing, but you will figure it out, and it is going to be great. Like it's going to be even better than you thought. Like that is what I would like to tell my younger self. And also like there's going to be bumps along the way, but 90+% of it is good stuff. So like don't let because the lows can be pretty low, and like I don't shy away from talking about mental illness. I struggle with depression and anxiety. I have for most of my life. So like the lows can be very low. And if you're going through a hard time with work or a relationship or a marriage or becoming a parent or having a difficult situation with a kid, whatever, like the lows can be really low, and you have to feel those, and it's okay, and go through it, but know that you're going to come out the other side, and it's still going to be good. There's still good stuff.
Oh yeah, silver lining. There was I don't remember his name, but he was in a reality show. He's a really well-known New York real estate broker or agent. But basically, he was on a panel and he's like, most of like 99.9% of people don't know what they're doing, but the ones that like succeed, like progress forward, right? Just do it,
Yes.
like keep going. I think a lot of people think, oh my gosh, this person is a VP or a director. It's like everyone is human. We're all human
Yes.
and we all have our flaws. And I think you can't go through it alone. And especially like Tom Brady had this, obviously he had his like Hall of Fame speech, and it's like, you're better as a team. You're better as a team.
Absolutely.
I don't know verbatim what it was because like obviously like I became a Tom Brady fan later on in life. I wasn't really a fan of the Patriots, but now, I digress. But but yeah, it's like basically you're better together, and it's like mental. To your point, I'm a big mental health advocate, especially with youth.
Yes.
I think today people, when you're young, you're so just, oh my gosh, just fragile. I mean, you're strong, but you're fragile. So, anyways, just I agree with you on that because it's like it's a journey. It's a big journey. So I guess a couple more questions before our episode ends. If you had a billboard that reached billions of people, what would you put on it? It could be a slogan, it could be a paragraph, and why would you put it on there?
You know what? It would honestly say, am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
You could spell it out. You could. There's a couple people that you can. There's a couple like it's your prerogative. I think sometimes
It's
I
not a
have.
bad one. But my billboard would say, "Don't be a dick." Just don't be a dick. Like, I don't think it's hard to be kind, and I don't think it's difficult. As even in, people go into these negotiations and you're talking about a deal and like everyone's trying to be tough and cool, and it's like, this isn't a movie. We don't have to act like this. Like, just be nice. And also, like, you mentioned this earlier, and I think it's so important. Like, we're all human beings. Like, it doesn't matter what your title is, or like, so and so's worked at this company for so long, so we need to treat them differently. It's like, why don't we just treat everybody nicely and just don't be a jerk? Like, that's it.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I don't know where it came from, but like manners and consideration, I get like when people
Yes.
don't, especially for customer service people, I'm like, what did you just do? I'm like, anyways, I don't know where it came from, but it's like maybe it's like a moral compass of mine. But yeah, it's just like, and even negotiations, right? For business, it's like you don't. Again, there's two sides to that coin, right? Like if you're being kind and the other person doesn't do anything, like it is hard because you're like, I was just nice to you, like what? Excuse me,
Right.
like you have the nerve to do, but at the other end of the stick, it's like people are going to do what they're going to do, right? And so you just have to be like, not my circus, not my monkeys. Like I did what I could,
Oh
I
my
did what I
God.
could do, like
I
whatever. Like
love that expression. I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
like not like go heal, because I'm gonna like still be kind and considerate, but it is hard some
Yes.
days because you're just like, wow, that was really didn't feel good at all, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Like here we are, but yeah, you have to think about it because you're like, and then as I think as women and intelligence, like all walks of life with intelligence is, we analyze things, right? We analyze behavior, we analyze, and so I wasn't a psychology major, but I did marketing communication. So like same
Oh,
but different,
cool.
more of
Yeah.
the creative side, right? More of
Yeah.
the like business side of like influencing behavior and I don't know if you want to say manipulating, but just like and history too. Like I studied world religion and just history and
Wow.
wrote a 50-page paper of my worldview in high school. Started young, I guess, but
Yeah, I'll say
but
that's super impressive. My gosh.
but I mean, it was a requirement, so like I was kind of forced to do it before I graduated. So, but yeah, I did
Okay.
enjoy it. Like it was at being in high school, you're like, I have to write really,
Yeah.
but it was double spaced, so like thank goodness. And then MLA
Thank
format,
God.
which again, I don't know if I would know how to do that. I have to like look that up. But yeah, it's just you have to think of like the more that you can. To your point, if you're coming across with good intentions,
Hmm.
that's all you can do. And I think people in high school, if you're listening, or in college, it's like people put it on a front and you have to just like let it roll off your back because they're going through a healing journey and maybe that's who they are. But at the same time, it's like you just have, and people in business do it all the time. And you're like, all right, that's smoke and mirrors. I'm going to go the other direction. Like I'm good. Like I'm going to
Oh,
go.
yes.
Yeah.
A
You have to just
hundred
have,
percent.
and I think just to add to that, like women, I think need to do a better job of not doing that because I've definitely been in situations where like I'll be 36 in a hot minute. So like but I look like I'm probably 23 or 20. I don't know. I'm probably not. I probably look like I'm in my 20s, but I look very young for my age. But sometimes women, we tend to patronize and I think like, again, at the end of the day, it's like, you have to realize like, I think it's coming from a place of their insecurities and you just have to you just have to, and I have to pay
Yeah.
attention too, because sometimes I work with Gen Z, I feel like that's yeah. And I made a joke. I was like, yeah, remember we had to go to the library and like research stuff? And she's like, do you know how old I am? And I was like, that's true. That's right. We didn't have to go to the library for that. Like,
Oh my
because
God.
I was like, we had to go to the
Like, I
library.
don't know
Like,
what you're talking
she's
about.
like, do you know how old I am? I'm like, yeah, sorry. Anyway, so it's just like,
Oh my
you just,
gosh.
she was just, I was like, wow, didn't miss that mark. But, and then
Ooh.
like being lighthearted. So anyways,
Yeah.
not to like obviously go down a different rabbit hole. I guess maybe one last question. Is there any, maybe it's a two-part. What are bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise? And then if you feel overwhelmed and or unfocused or lost track of like focus temporarily, what do you do? I think for me, like this could be when you're getting an email that's like not smooth at you and you're like, how do I choose violence or do I not? It's kind of
Oh
like,
man. Yeah. It's just like, am I gonna angry cry? Am I gonna
yeah.
throw something? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, something a friend told me, like when just about like when you're really in it. So I'll answer the second part of your question first. When you're in it or you're having a bad day or you get that bad email or, your boss is screaming at you or something is going wrong and you kind of hit on it already, like that's more about them and that's not about you. So
Mm-hmm.
a really good friend of mine always says to me, you can't take that on. So like what it really means is just because someone's coming at you or disrespecting you or being mean to you or rude to you, don't take that on. Like, don't let their anger or stress or, because again, we don't know what they're going through or if they're having a bad day or what's going on at home, but you can't take that on. You can't let somebody else's bad vibes or bad mood or bad day affect your day. And it's so much easier said than done because I take things very personally. It's I don't know if it's a flaw, but it's a characteristic that I have. Like I just take things very personally. So it's hard to not take on other people's stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
that's some of the best advice that I ever got about just dealing with when it's really coming at you. Like, how do I handle this?
Mm-hmm.
You said it to me when we talked earlier in the week, like touch some grass, get away from your desk, whatever that means for you. Like if it really does mean going outside and getting your feet on the grass, like great. Or if it means taking your dog for a walk, or if it means going to meet your girlfriends for a drink, like whatever that is, you have to make time for that stuff.
Yeah. And it also encourages creativity too. Like when people go, I call brain breaks too, right? Like taking like I'm gonna go. When I was in the office, I was like, I'm gonna go take a break and go go get some water, go stop by
Yeah,
someone's desk because you have to take those little breaks too.
you
And touching
have
grass,
to.
there's actual science too. If you touch grass, like it actually like my girlfriend, I think she got her master's or PhD, anyways, in like nutrition health, anyways. But there is some type of like harmonizing with when you're touching
I
grass,
believe
like when you're
it.
sitting in it, it's like it just yeah. I have to ask her because she
I
like
believe
told me
it.
it, and it's like again like. I try to actively listen and like take some in and be like, hey, I'm gonna make a mental note of that. And so
Yeah.
that's what transpired is like I'm gonna go touch some grass to like face
Yes.
reality and
Yeah.
like
Mine is like, don't take that on. Or like,
yeah.
they say about like if you have a pet, like if you have a dog, like
Mm-hmm.
that lowers your blood pressure. Like maybe spend some time with your animal if you have an animal, or if it's one of
Yeah.
your kids or one that doesn't stress you out. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
whatever you can do to like keep your
Yeah.
own peace and keep your own sanity. Cause it's like
Yeah.
we have enough going on. And then
Yeah.
the worst things that people say that I think is bad advice, the first part of your question, I hate when people say, 'cause first of all, it's completely disrespectful. Man up. Do not tell me to man up ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, it's inappropriate. Like, those times are gone. Sorry, everybody. This is not a thing anymore. You can't say that.
Yeah.
And anything along the lines of like, you know, don't take it personally. It's just business. I do not buy into that for 1 second. Business is the most personal thing there is. You spend how much of your life working? You spend how much of your time talking to whether it's your clients, whether it's your peers, whether you lead a team, whether you're on a team, you spend a lot of time working, and your business is very personal. Like, whether you own it, whether you're an employee at a company, whether you're volunteering, whatever it is personal. And like, that goes just hand in hand with what you said earlier about having manners, and what I said about just being nice doesn't cost anything. Like, you don't have to, like, this isn't a movie. You don't have to be a crazy person and yell at everyone and always be closing and all that stuff that is just like not cool anymore. I'm sorry to tell you. Like, it's just not.
Well, if you're an entrepreneur or if you start your own business, right? Like, it's your blood, sweat, and tears, right? Same with family, like
Yes.
everything, right? Even corporations, it's like you still want, like, again, there are different work ethics, right? I think that there's
Of
like,
course.
obviously, like there's that scale, but at the end of the day, it's like, to those who have good work ethic, you want to do a good job. And so
Of course.
every interaction that you have, like if some of it, like I think for me, if something didn't feel right, and then I like to go back and be like, hey, just want to like clarify, like if you felt like an interaction didn't go the best that you could, go back. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to do the extra thing. I think the extra mile, going the extra mile, it shows that you care, and it shows that you have compassion. And I think that's something that's lacking in today's work world. I think the more that you can be considerate and, hey, I want to make sure you got this email. Like, I'm an over communicator, and sometimes it's overwhelming sometimes for people who don't communicate. But again, like, it is what people are different, right? People digest things in different like digital channels. And I think the more that you can be, or like, again, I think to your point, tough love is appreciated if, one, your audience, and two, is it the right time, right? Like, understand the assignment before you open up your mouth. I mean, obviously, like I've definitely put my foot in my mouth several times. Probably I'll do it more, right? But I think when at the end of the day, it's like, if you're in a leadership role or you're working with someone, you want to be, I don't know if it's sensitive, but understanding, like, hey, let's put myself in their shoes of like, is this a good time to tell them to calm down? Probably not. They're probably irate. You should probably, that's not a de-escalation situation. You should probably be like, hey, is there anything I can do? We'll talk later. Great. Like, there's like certain things that you can do to be like, probably not the time to give some tough love at this point.
Totally. Yeah. Know your audience, know your timing. But like, when people say it's just business, it's not personal, I'm like, you're wrong. Like, it's all personal. It's all relationships. There's money changing hands. Like, that is very personal.
And have the hard conversations, have the difficult, like, stop. Like, I think this is a big thing right now with people, like, obviously with the economy, with jobs and stuff. I think recruiters have that conversation, be like, hey, like, when I was looking for my next opportunity, when the recruiters was like, hey, sorry, we gave it to something internal, I was like, thank you so much, I appreciate that. Like, I like have those hard, that's a like low, that's like a, like a simple example, but it's like, have those hard conversations, because one, it makes you a better person, and it strengthens the relationship or the partnership or what relationship you have, because those who can't communicate can't lead. So that's how I like, when people can't use their words, you're just like, all right, I'm going to go that direction.
Absolutely.
Anyways, last question. If people want to learn more about you or know about Michigan and know about Michigan, and I don't know about what you do, like know about like work and anything, right? Like, you're the company that you work for, like what kind of stuff, anything. How can they get in contact?
So I'm on LinkedIn. It's Marcia, spelled like from the Brady Bunch, CIA. So LinkedIn, I'm always available. I currently work for Keeper Security. It's a privileged access management company. And so you can get me there if you need to. If you want to talk about credential management or password management, give me a call. And then, Amazon, my book is on Amazon and it's also on Audible. And then, I live in Chicago. So if anyone's in Chicago, just give me a holler. I'll tell you where to go, meet you for a drink.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Christine. Thank you so much.